guys, it's Cassandra Williams from Educational Innovation 360. This is Coaching Conversations. Today we're going to really talk about, building authentic influence, right? As an instructional coach, you have to make sure you're doing the research, you're doing all the things, but unlike kind of leaders and administrators, we don't really rely on authority to do our job, right? We rely on relationships. I can't say that enough, right? So hopefully we can explore how to build trust. What do you need to do to build credibility with your teachers? And how do you collaborate for school-wide change? Hope you like it. So we're talking about the foundation. What do I mean when I say the foundation of coaching influence? Really, to build influence, we rely on these 4 pillars. So the 4 pillars are building trust. How we be invisible? Are you approachable? Are you nice? Are you smiling? Right? Really being able to read your own face. Are you invested, truly invested in teacher success? And then next is student-centered. Do you have a student-centered focus? Have you collaborated with teachers? Are you helping them set goals? Are your goals directly connected to student needs and then measurable results? Like, what does that look like in your school? And next, how do you model being vulnerable? Like, show that you're a learner. How do you practice with a teacher? How do you stand up in the classroom and co-teach with your teachers to show that you're in this with them, right? That builds not only trust, but empathy. Like, I know what you're going through. I don't have to say it because I am here with you. And then last but not least is talking about professional credibility. Right. So you have to know what's up with the research. You have to stay on top. You have to stay updated and kind of model some of the best practices that are out there. You may ask, what do I mean by kind of building trust through visibility? You have to be out there. Let me just say, there was one time I was coaching a principal and she was her own barrier. And so really she would always say, hey, my teachers don't like me. My coaches don't like me. People don't like me here. And I would say, hey, are you visible? Are you authentic? Right? Because that works for not only leadership, but coaching as well. So building trust, you got to be consistent. What are your informal observations, informal interactions? I mean, not observation, but informal interactions. Are you taking notes? How are you being seen and sincere? Are you joining teachers during their lunch or staff event, not just formal debrief meetings? How are you celebrating their wins, right? Acknowledging that they're doing a good job, whether there's shout outs, there's email marketing for your teachers. And then how are you celebrating their journey, right? Or sharing the journey, sharing their wins, sharing your personal journey with coaching to it gives you it humanizes the role and so you can find common ground when you are coaching. So what does it mean to create a student-centered coaching culture? Really thinking of these 3 pillars, student-centered goals, how do you examine work together with your team, and how do you drive through their PLCs. So we're shifting from kind of the teacher behavior to kind of what are the student outcomes. We try to use SMART goals. 80% of the students will instead of the teacher will. Really being able to identify evidence where we're looking for student work, looking for and reflect on whether current trends, whether progress, what do we see throughout the student work. And then we try to use this 6 to 8 week improvement cycle, right? Because we're setting the goals, we're monitoring, we reflect, and we're changing and we're adapting based on data and results. I want to say credibility is crucial. Thinking about how do people view you through their eyes or through their lens. So you gain credibility by pretty much staying up on the research, your professional development, you thinking about communicating the latest research that and then, practicing your purpose in the classroom, right? And so it's all about showing. And so when you know the latest research, the latest trends on AI, you make actionable steps. So you do professional development based on AI, based on your current research, right? You are a practitioner. You are modeling the lessons you want to see. You are co-teaching with teachers. You provide feedback that is timely, even if you don't do a full-out debrief. These are all the things that we talk about building credibility. Now, what are the strategies, right? The effective strategies in action. Thinking about these 4 proven strategies here, I want to say kind of like there are teachers. So this is one teacher in Seattle. The teachers are always doing something and trying something different. Hopefully I can share some of this research where the principal or the coach would do weekly shout outs to build morale. If you want to know more, I can definitely tell you the school and what they're doing and how they're providing shout outs, whether it's through email, through, voice over the intercom, messaging and gifts. Thinking about what are the internalization meetings. We know KIP does this really well, where they call it sharpening the saw, sharpen coaching. So there's a lot of role play, rehearsals that really give you a glimpse into what it looks like when we get there. There's data-driven cycles as well. So when you're talking about, there's different coaching cycle, different coaching rubrics. So like whether the Danielson in Oregon, they talk about, coaching based on like student improvement and data results and clarity around that. And then there's like thought partnerships. And so in Texas, I'm saying in general terms, I understand. I'm saying it, like I said, the schools are great, but the coaches really work with inquiry-based learning and inquiry-based questions, and their sentence stems around that for their coaches to do well. And so it's really about, building the capacity of the space in each region. All right, so here is the critical role of school leadership. Yes, you are a leader. Coaching really is about, you do well in coaching when you have principal support. Coaching is one of those things where principals need to define your role early on and clearly, and then be kind of supportive in that nurturing space. They needed to be a coach for you because you want to be the best, you want to do the best in the space, but you have to know the guidelines, right? And so when teachers or when leaders model their own learning, because there's been times where I have outcoached the principal, or I felt a little odd that the principal struggled in certain areas, so I kind of would take on the initiative. But it's that fine line. You don't want to do too much to where they see you as a threat, but you don't want to do too little where they don't see how great you are, right? So, but working together, and I like to do this at the beginning of the year, is to think about, let's norm our lenses and see what we're looking for this year, so I can know what you will be evaluating, so I can help teachers in that lens. And thinking of, so when we are both in the classroom, the principal and the coach, we're modeling our own learning. We're kind of normalizing growth for all to say what we want to see in the schools. And then we are working with our principal in the conversation. And so they are an ally because they know, where we're headed, what we're focusing on, because we have gotten guidance and we have normed our lenses. Okay, I love to say, like, your path. Here is the kind of 4-pronged roadmap that I think that you need to do to think about what next, right? When we're building relationships, we think about people need to trust you before they make any change. When we talk about student evidence, we're really talking about how you need to let the data lead you. And then we're really focusing on partnership, right? You are a thought partner. You aren't that person. Like, one of the biggest things that it's kind of like nails on chalkboard when I see other coaches, when I coach other coaches, say is, in my classroom, or you should go see Ms. Jones' classroom, she does this really well, right? Alluding that somebody's doing it better than me, you already have given up on me, that I need to copy off somebody else to be great, right? So really being considerate of the language and the verbiage you use. Last but not least is to celebrate growth, right? Shine a light on teacher success, little wins. One of the things, you go to the teacher store, you get little certificates, and then you write their name on certificates. I can't tell you how many times I've been in my principal's offices or my teachers' offices or other coaches' offices and seeing these certificates as a means to recognition, because they're not getting the recognition that they so desire. And so thinking about how we empower change and growth. I encourage you, make a new relationship, build a new relationship this week. Identify a teacher that's kind of open to try something new, and then set a time to pretty much talk with your principal about what can I do to support your culture. I always say just one step, 1% of growth learning every day will at the end make extreme change. So I hope you guys enjoyed this coaching conversation with Cassandra Williams. I'll talk to you later. Bye.